Hey folks, this is Picohan on the North American server, and this is the ARP Haruna Kongo class in 2020. The map is Ring. It's a standard battle, and this is a tier 5 to tier 6 game, so bottom tier but not heavy bottom tier. And shoutouts to Stall and Ace in the other two Kongos. Together, we are the ARP meme div of 3 ARP Kongos. Now, the Kongo is one of the oldest ships in the game, and it's aged fairly well. Like, the New York was bad when I originally talked about the Kongo, and it's still bad now. Mostly the power creep at tier 5 just hasn't been as bad as it's been in the higher tiers. One of the strengths of the Kongo is still the insane range. I think it's still the furthest at tier 5 with the spotter plane. Now, of course, at max range, you're very unlikely to hit anything, not only because the Kongo is not extremely accurate, but also because the shell times, even with moderately fast shells, just take so long to get out there. Nonetheless, I try to take these early shots because the middling accuracy means that you can't really wait for good shots and expect a good result. The more shots you take, the more chances you have of doing some damage, and even at long range, you can potentially get a citadel, etc. You just need to increase your rolls, basically. Of course, now that we have the T-22 in front of us, he is of course the one I'm going to shoot at, though the salvo was not very good. Fortunately, we spot his torps very early, and they will miss. So, there's still some broadside targets in the south, but I would like to work on the Fuso on this flank, who is the best target, or at least the only spotted target. Given the angle and the speed of the Fuso, I wasn't all that confident about my aim, and that's why I took that ranging shot before throwing the rest of the salvo. Not very good, 6k overall. Not a terrible result, though. The T-22 popped back up, and you can see that I wanted to take a shot at him, but I also saw that he was going behind the island, so I'm going for the Fuso again, who's basically full broadside this time. At these ranges, I can probably get a citadel, but it's not that easy. We got one pen and an overpen. So this flank looks like it's falling back, so I turned out probably originally with the intent of holding the position, but I think I'm seeing that the other flank is retreating and the enemy team is pushing, so I'm going to start heading back that way. Since there's not really any good targets, this is also a good time to bring the guns to the other side. Because of what I said earlier about taking as many shots as possible to increase your odds of doing damage, I personally struggle with trying to not turn the guns over to the other side. I really like to try to avoid doing that, so having an obvious opportunity to do so is very good. The Fuso, while retreating, is giving broadside, so I'm going to take that shot. Unfortunately, only with the back turrets at this point. We do secure the kill, but you can see that I'm debating whether to shoot at the cruiser that's way out in the west or try to work on something in the southeast, which is the flank that's pushing us. Ultimately, it looks like I tried to take a shot on the cruiser. It wasn't very good, but now I'm going full speed to the southeast because there is this destroyer that's starting to get up on the cap. This is kind of the danger of having a 3-man and all going to one side. You leave the other side really weak, and if the enemy tries to push, it can be bad, like this is right now. The bigger problem, though, is that even though the ship count is even or close to even, well, not anymore, but it was close to even, we've lost all our destroyers, and they still have 3. Since this is a standard battle, it's not quite as bad as if it were domination, but it's still not that good considering we only have myself and the other battleship guarding the cap. I would have liked to press a little bit further south before turning around, but I had 2 on me, and one of them was a Normandy, so I decided to turn out and try to hold my position around here. Just as I was doing the turnout, I did manage to secure the Nuremberg, so at least I can probably slow down and, like I said, hold my position against the Normandy for now. My main concern now is, of course, that the Vasterus is going to try to push our cap, but for some reason he instead gets himself spotted here, probably because I slowed down. He probably expected me to keep going full speed, and I'm going to get a salvo off with HE and take him out. This was actually a somewhat lucky salvo for me, because I actually switched to HE to shoot at the bow in Normandy, so I had made the swap when the Vasterus showed up. A long time ago, I would have said that you should never use HE in the Kongo, but nowadays people are kind of a bit smarter about keeping bow in, and sometimes you just gotta use that because you're not getting any broadside. I probably did not need to keep running here. The Normandy should not be able to do that much damage when I'm angled, especially without having to show his broadside to get all his guns off. That being said, I was a little bit worried about the Vasterus torps, and maybe rightfully so. You did see where they were going before they timed out. The Normandy turned around while I still had HE loaded, so unfortunately I wasn't able to capitalize on that broadside, but I make the switch and hopefully we can finish him off. This game is basically even on ships now, and they only have 1 destroyer, so we've decreased the deficit from 3 to 1, so it is a T-61. He is in the cap, and his backup is fairly close. Now, I see that Stall is going for the cap, so what I'm going to try to do is just try to keep these battleships from putting him in a crossfire. I'm going to try to turn them back. The Koenig actually beaches in a really annoying spot because as I push further south, he'll become more angled. The New York is showing a really nice broadside though, but just as I'm about to take the shot, the T-61 shows up, and I take the shot at him instead. Now, I turned back toward the cap here, but in retrospect, I really don't like this move. The T-61 has already shot his torps, Stall is in the cap, and we've reset the T-61. So we're not in immediate danger of losing the cap, even though these other battleships are coming in. We should be able to reset those battleships easily. I think I should have kept pushing south and trying to keep a crossfire, especially since Ace is also coming into the cap with me. On top of all of that, I lost a salvo from the rear turrets because I decided to turn the ship around at that point. Stall tries to rush the T-61, but he's spotted by the Hydro and gets torped. I was a little bit surprised at just how quickly the T-61's torps reload, even though I know that it's a fast reload. Now, Ace also died from the New York, who I was not able to push back because I did not keep going toward the southeast. So now it's a 3v5, and that's very unfortunate. I would have tried to hold my position in the cap had even Ace or Stall survived, but now I've got the attention of their entire team, and I basically have to run. Fortunately, our New Mexico actually takes out the T-61, and the Koenig takes out the Bayern, so it's once again a 3v3. My immediate problem, though, is of course that there's an island directly to my left, and to get around it, I have to show the New York a lot more broadside than I would like. That being said, the New York is also showing me a little bit of broadside, and as I've said before, the New York is basically free damage at this point, so I'm going to get around the island, angle out, and just try to work on him. All along here, by the way, we've really utilized the other strength of the Kongo, which is its speed. This is still, I think, the fastest battleship in Tier 5, even though there are some ships that are getting close. Anyway, thanks to the speed, I got in, I got out, I managed to pop this heal, so I'm finally not in immediate danger of dying, and the Bayern and the New Mexico have amazingly wisely created a crossfire, so the New York is kind of being forced to turn, and I can shoot at that juicy broadside. Unfortunately, both of the New Yorks are using HE, which means that my angling and my heal have been pretty much useless. Amazingly though, I take out the New York for the Kraken, and since we have Yamamoto, I actually get a pretty decent heal at a pretty decent time, and it's finally up to this point that I kind of feel secure about the game. And you can see that I'm finally slowing down and waiting for an opportunity to turn back around. Our New Mexico and our Bayern are both pretty healthy, and we only have to fight their last New York and the Devonshire. Backing up here is probably unnecessary. I probably could have made the full turn since the New York is busy with the New Mexico, but at this point it really doesn't matter. The game should be pretty secure. And that's the Kongo in 2020. My TLDR would still be just use your speed to try to find good positions and keep your guns hot all the while. You can really flex that positioning advantage against lower tier and even same tier battleships just because you're so fast and have so much range. Sometimes those longer range shots will even finally connect, like on that Devonshire, though I wasn't able to secure the kill. On that note, this is the end of the video, so have a nice day.